climb on high.
Welcome to Summit Up, your one-stop shop for all things Denver Summit FC, with plenty of side hikes into the greater NWSL landscape, women's sports in Denver, and everything you should know about the culture and community of soccer at 5,280 feet.
Summit Up is part of the Bangarang soccer community, telling soccer stories a mile in the sky and on till morning. Check out our Colorado Rapids sibling show, Pidcast, and come play free pickup soccer with us all around the Denver metro area. I have it on good authority. Someone in the Summit organization will be playing pickup soccer with us tonight. So you heard it here first. Most importantly, we aim to be a collaborative human soccer show for community-minded soccer humans. So do your best to corner flag slide right into our DMs.
All right, let's kick it. I'm Hallie. With me today is Matt, and we're going to go peak to peak on all the news you need to know, followed by a fantastic chat with the first ever head coach of your Denver Summit FC, Nick Cushing. All right. Let's start with a roundup on the league. Kansas City Current has clinched the regular season shield, and yet no team is mathematically eliminated from the playoffs yet. So we've got two extremes of the spectrum there, and that all could change this weekend with Utah and Chicago most critically fighting for their lives, playing each other on Sunday. So tune into that one. Early season favorites Orlando Pride have really struggled for form after losing Barbara Banda for the remainder of the season and currently find themselves in the middle of the pack, fighting to stay in those playoff contender spots. Similarly, San Diego, who also started pretty hot, are finding themselves on that playoff border as well. So stay tuned. There's 4 match weeks left before we hit the playoffs in November.
I was looking at, I believe it was a graphic the NWSL posted that was the 2024 standings at this point compared to the 2025. And boy, did Seattle Reign make a jump.
Yeah, there's been some interesting trades, some interesting moves, and still moves happening today. There's the NWSL is a weird one. It's shut off to international transfers right now, but you can still do intra-league transfers. So Boston actually signed somebody today and moved them from DC to Houston for the last month of the season. So
Oh, wow.
always something happening.
All right.
All 3 of our signings have been getting on the score sheet in September for their respective teams. Most recently, Ali Watt assisted star signing Lisbeth Avaye in the Orlando Pride's win over San Diego Wave last weekend. We had a weekend, I think 2 weeks ago, where all 3 of our signings scored on the same weekend. So we encourage you to seek out those streams and watch them when you can, and hopefully get familiar with some faces that'll be scoring some goals for us next season.
I love that we had a Denver Summit FC hat trick already. 3 signees, 3 goals, 1 weekend. It's going to be wild once the season actually kicks off.
Yeah, you'll hear from Nick more later about his attacking goals for this team and what he's been keeping an eye on with those players. We had the privilege a week or 2 ago to attend the Women's Foundation of Colorado's luncheon, which was keynote speaker Abby Wambach with the Cohen family as honorary chairs. There was lots of mentions and nods to the Denver Summit as a part of that event. Abby Wambach has an open invite to join us anytime she finds herself through Denver again. She was trying to kickstart some friendly rivalries. She's an owner in the Angel City group, and she's looking forward to some Angel City Denver games in the future. And if you're not familiar with the work of the Women's Foundation of Colorado, I encourage you to check them out. They offer grants and funding to a lot of incredible women-led initiatives in the state that work to fill resourcing and service gaps in underserved communities. Goes well beyond sports and gets into some real needs from all considerations all over the state. They honored some incredible women from high school through retirement age who were trailblazing in their own communities, and it was really inspiring to see. There was also a presence from Soccer Without Borders, who are a nonprofit, who also have a Colorado presence, I believe, up towards the Fort Collins area. who provide kids opportunities for soccer, education, and community who may not otherwise have that kind of access. I encourage you to check out their website. They have volunteer opportunities, donation opportunities, etc. They were able to do Abby's intro, and it was a really cool moment for them.
Yeah, I believe Soccer Without Borders also has programs set up around the Denver metro. So I know they've got
Okay.
programs in Aurora, and they were the grantee awarded $10,000 from the Women's Foundation and Denver Summit. So this will really help out their programming. So good to see the soccer hierarchy kind of standing on each other's shoulders, as it were, and organizations like the Women's Foundation being such pillars in their community. In other community-minded news, Kaylee and I attended the District 7 and Summit FC Community Open House that they held at Burndown a week and a half ago. This was a really cool event. It was cool to see so many different people engaged in this. You saw kind of the people that you'd expect from like your Wash Park, your Platt Park. You really saw the community to the west of it. Your Athmar Park come out and represent. And then I saw a shocking amount of I think college kids from DU that were really interested in coming out and seeing what the new stadium designs could look like. I got to nerd out. I talked to the firm doing the transportation consult and kind of building out the networking there about the lift that it is to get 14.5 thousand people to and from a stadium, especially one where the parking will largely be off site. And he said some really cool things, noting that one thing at the forefront is if people are taking the light rail, because that Broadway station is the second most trafficked light rail in Colorado. I'd argue it might become first here next or in here in 2028. But the idea of how people are going to get there, not just walking or biking, but families pushing strollers from the light rail, and which side of the stadium that means they're going to want to have that point of ingress towards to facilitate those family type transportation issues. The other focus, I talked to the Parks and Rec department. They're trying to take a lot of feedback and figure out what to do with that area due south. So that'd be Vanderbilt Park East. How best to activate that for a community of soccer fans for all of those Saturday, Sunday matches throughout a season, a community of neighbors, as well as how to make it a focal point community space for the development that will end up going around the stadium in 2028 and beyond. Those people that will be in those kind of 1+3 live workspaces. I put in a good word to make sure that there's a tailgating barbecue space, things
Nice.
like that. Maybe we'll see some cornhole, some street soccer. But yeah, that's the type of thing that I just fall so in love with. Like the fact that we're getting a soccer team is the umbrella with which all of this cool stuff underneath is happening. And we're hoping to get both the firm doing the transportation and a rep from the Parks and Rec department on the pod in this off season as the machinations accrue to really talk about what's going on and get community feedback. Speaking of community feedback, CAA Icon, on behalf of Denver Summit and the Stadium Development Team, has started doing focus groups. Some of you may have gotten an email earlier in this off season asking you to take fan surveys about what sort of stadium features, amenities, and do's and don'ts you were looking for. And now they've started their in-person focus groups. I've heard from quite a few people that have participated in these that the topics are ranging at every level from accessibility, and this is things like I was talking about, like stroller access, to like handicap accessibility, to seating equity. One comment I heard got a lot of interest was how they orient the premium seating in the stadium, as it will be a horseshoe if they want their premium stadium and kind of their boxes and everything oriented on one side for ease of build. And will that create kind of a haves and a have-nots mentality of east-west sides of the stadium, and kind of your cheap seats, your everyone in stands, and then your premium seating up on high. Um, so that's I don't know. I think all these things are cool. This is a big firm out of LA that's coming in and doing this. So I think it's really important for the community at every chance they can get to go to one of these things, to submit a form, to provide input. Like we need to make sure that the community is really taking hold of their stakeholding aspect of this stadium coming to life. And then, speaking of stadium coming to life, one of the things that is coming to life is going to be the Club 5280 launch party. Uh, Hallie and I both got into our 15,000 strong season ticket deposit ranks. And then, for those of you that didn't make that cut, they announced Club 5280, which is a supporter benefit club where you can pay $52.80 a year. You get a founder's scarf, 10% off all merchandise, and then access to exclusive events and early ticketing access to other events. They're going to be holding a launch party this Saturday from noon until 5 p.m. at Pindustry down in Greenwood Village. So we're already starting to activate the South Denver area near where the Common Spirit Performance Center will be. And the team will play for the first 2 years. This event, kind of like other summit parties, you're going to have complimentary food. They'll have partner booths. I think the big draw here is going to be they're going to have visualizations of stadium aspects and also what they're dubbing as a way to visualize the different seating configurations in the new stadium so you can decide on your seating conversion that will be launching in a few weeks. And then Q&A with new head coach Nick Cushing. He'll be doing two of those Q&As, I believe, 12:30 to 1 p.m. and then 3 to 3:30 p.m., correct?
Yes. So ask him
And
whatever you think we missed in our interview, or elaborate on anything that you want more from.
yeah, so I think that's the perfect segue. We already got our Q&A in with Denver head coach Nick Cushing. He joined us for an interview this morning, all the way from across the pond. So we thank him greatly for coordinating schedules to get that done. Thoughts on the interview before we launch into it?
Yeah, it was great talking to Nick. He has been in market over the summer. Hasn't fully moved the family over yet, but he has spent some time around here. He's really excited about the community, about the fans, about the American soccer culture, and I think he's ready to hit the ground running, and was really enthusiastic about this project being more than just walking into another head coaching gig. I think he kind of understands the ground up mentality there, and is excited about all that entails. So yeah, I think people will enjoy hearing those details.
Well, without further ado, here's our conversation with Denver Summit FC coach Nick Cushing.
Hey Summiters, I'm Hallie. I'm joined by my co-host Matt. We're back this week with another incredible guest and interview for your ears and eyes. A native of Chester, England, who previously coached in various ranks in the City org, including Manchester City Women and NYCFC. I won't go into specific accolades as some of them are against my own team, but welcome Nick Cushing to the pod.
Thank you. Nick, we'll start off how we always do. Can you tell the listeners about yourself in your own words outside of the game of soccer?
Um, I'm the father of three, married to my wife Claire. I've two boys, 14 and 11, Harry and Francis, and I have a daughter who is actually 9 tomorrow. It's her birthday, 2nd of October. So, yeah, pretty fun guy, Outside of soccer, there's not really that much to me apart from Uber driver for my children, and yeah, just
Are they
waiting for the next
playing
game.
the game? Are you getting pulled into any weekend coaching gigs, or you've passed that on?
No, I don't coach my kids, but yeah, I am I'm more Uber driver than coach with my children. So my two boys play. My daughter played when we were in New York, and then since she's been back in England, has joined a team and is really getting into the soccer. So yeah, we're definitely a soccer family. But yeah, I'm not the coach. I don't coach my own children.
Fair enough.
We're gonna deceptively clip that part so it looks like you just say I'm an Uber driver, and then all the fans are just gonna start requesting rides over and over again until they see your face pop up.
Welcome to the NWSL. I guess how much have you been able to follow this league over the years? Time zones, streaming services, etc. Have you been able to keep up with it? In your time in other cities.
Yeah, I mean, I had an opportunity to come to NWSL in 2019. I was the coach of Manchester City women, and I'd been the coach for 7 years. And um, we were probably in the third iteration of our team, and it was probably time for something new. And I had an opportunity to come to NWSL, and in the end, stayed within the organization and moved across to New York to further my development as an assistant coach. But followed the league throughout my 5 seasons in New York, because had a lot of friends within the league. Mark Skinner had been with Orlando, Casey was with San Diego, so a lot of coaches that I'd built relationships with were within the league, and obviously had an affinity to the women's game coming from Manchester City and then going to MLS. So a league that I've watched a lot of, and a league that I've always been really intrigued to, come across and challenge myself in.
You kind of segued me there, but you've now coached in both the men's and women's game in the UK, the US. Were you intentionally seeking an opportunity to kind of come back and stay in the women's game after the City gig? Were you kind of open to multiple opportunities? How did that come about for you?
Yeah, I was really open to what the opportunity was that I was sort of going to take up next. I think I was really clear that 20 years within the organisation of City Football Group was probably my time to go and work with some new people, join a new organisation, give what I believe I can offer, but also, you know, I was just looking for something that was going to be challenging. I had some opportunities in England within the men's and the women's game, had some opportunities back in the US and some in Europe. And it was more what I was looking for, the opportunity to work in an organisation that I believed matched my ambition, work for really good people, ambitious people. And I was looking for a project, really, something that was a little bit different to the other things that I was offered. And this one, I knew straight away that it was the right one for me.
I think something you touched on there is the project and the expansion side of it. What has your role been in shaping and recruiting this team so far? We've already talked to Kurt a bit, so does he have you working the phone banks as well?
Yeah, I think expansion was something. Obviously, being in MLS, I'd seen expansion teams like Charlotte, like St. Louis, and then San Diego start to build. So expansion was something that I was really intrigued at. Um, I was involved in the build of Manchester City women through 2013 into 2014. So it definitely was something that I wanted to experience and intrigued me. But I definitely wanted to play a part in this period, the build. I wanted to play, an integral part, but wanted to work with people and work with a real collaborative approach. And when I spoke to our ownership and then speaking to Kurt, it was really clear that it was going to be a real collaborative approach between Kurt and David and then myself. And I've been really pleased with the way that we've worked, with the sort of conversations and meetings that we've had, with the progress that we have made and are making. So, yeah, building a team and building a performance staff team is something that I'm really, really enjoying, and I'm really pleased with where we're at.
That's great to hear. We hear a lot of players and coaches kind of talk about core principles, philosophies, things that are sort of the backbone of their team or their season. What does that look like for you? Does that kind of carry over from team to team? Is that something you shape as you enter a new org? How are you looking at that for next season?
Yeah, I think obviously I was developed in the City Football Group, so the first period of my coaching development was probably developing the idea that the City Football Group have, and learning the concept and principles that shape our teams within the group. But then coming over to MLS into a salary cap league is very, very different. It's different than Europe. So that really shaped my idea in how you can be competitive, how you can win, and ultimately, get in the playoffs and then be competitive at the right time. So, there is an element that I want my team to control the game with the ball and have the ball, but I want to attack fast. I want to make sure that we can compete at an intensity, a real intensity, because MLS, NWSL is really clear, right? There is a real physical intensity to the league, which I really enjoy. So, yeah, there are some core principles that my teams will follow, but ultimately, we're going to be an attacking team. We're going to, I want my teams to fear nobody and go and attack everybody, and that will be the team that we build.
That's a great segue. For those less familiar with your playing style, outside of attacking, I think there was a quote in your press release that said, "Well, we're not only going to be an attacking team. You want a team that's hungry." You've had quotes where you say you want to embrace the hardship, the challenge. So, can you fill people in on what your play style is going to be? What sort of character of players you're going to be looking to run out in that starting 11 each week?
Yeah, I think you have to have I think what was really clear to me when I built the team at Manchester City was there was an element of, um, we had the brand and we had the team, and the playing style was really important to attract fans from the men's team into the women's team. So we had to build the crowd, and winning was how we were going to do it, but the playing style and how we did it had to entertain. Now, what I love about our team in Denver is the fans are already there, right? We've got an incredible group of fans that are really hungry and really sort of enthusiastic about coming and watching our team. So we have to provide a team that can attack and can entertain. And I want my teams to have the ball and be able to create chances. The game for me is about goals, so we have to create chances, and we have to develop our team's ability to do that with the ball, but also without the ball, because it's not my style to win 6-5. I like my teams to be really sort of hard to play against. I want confidence in our team, and I want our team to embrace the fact that we're a really difficult team to play against. So we're organized, but we're also, confident and aggressive defensively, but also, we can create chances in every phase of the game. So when I say an attacking style, we're going to go and create chances and entertain our fans and be a team that is hard to play against because of the intensity that we attack at.
Lots of goals is what I hear. So that's what we'll be looking for. What have you noticed about in the existing kind of signings that have already been announced? They've all been attacking players. What about them excites you? Have you been able to keep up across the various leagues that they're playing in right now, and what's been announced so far?
Yeah, I think, in Ali, what you can see that we have a player that is a really aggressive attacker, speed, which I think is going to be really critical for us to be a team that can attack opposition. I think our league lends itself to an attacking, a fast attacking team, and speed is important. So I think you can see in Orlando now, Ali is really impactful in the way that they attack and how they are, where their offensive volume is coming from. I think Lourdes is a really exciting attacking player, a player with huge potential in the sense of, we're following her now in the Mexican League, and she's, the goal she scores in the game is, it's inspiring to think that we can have an attacking team that can score team goals, but also those individual goals where you create them yourself. And, Nakari is over here in England, right? So it's easy for me. I actually went to the Newcastle Nottingham Forest game,
Nice.
because I think it's important that not only do we follow the progress of our players, because it's going to help us blend the team once we start training, but it's really important for me to start to build relationships with the players that we have, because a huge part of us being a competitive team quickly will be that culture environment that we create. So the sort of me getting to know the players getting to know me, and as we start to build out the staff, we can start to share those processes so that we're not just turning up on day one of pre-season and we're all meeting and greeting like the first day of school. It's important to me that we make as much progress as quick as possible.
Just to touch on Nahakari, because you brought her up, not only her pedigree but her longevity in the sport is absolutely mind blowing. What does it mean for you to have someone with that level of experience across a multitude of competitions at the nucleus as this team starts?
Yeah, I think, one thing I said at the start, when you look at teams that hit the ground running in expansion, is the decisions that they make in this period. If we make a lot of good decisions in this 7-month period leading up to January, we've got more chance of, being a good team quickly. And part of that is recruiting a team with balance in it. So styles of players that fit the playing style. But also, one thing I think is important is we have experience that knows the league. Players that have previously won within our league, and there will be an element of that. Players that have experiences of playing all around the world, because, experience in a locker room is really important. So someone like Naikari has played, in so many different competitions, in big teams like Real Madrid. It's really important. But then also we have to have, the best potential. We have to go and attract the best young players, because that gives us a real blend in the locker room, but also makes us competitive in year 2, year 3, year 4. So, we will, is one thing we did at Manchester City with the likes of Georgia Stanway, Kira Walsh, was get young players, but at the same time we had the likes of Jill Scott and, Steph Orton and those type of players. So you have a range of different experiences, because, you want to be good early, but you also want to continue to be good through the season and into season 2. So to have a player like Naikari is really important.
Uh, Speaking of kind of the different competitions, what have you noticed as differences in kind of the meta play styles from the WSL, the MLS, and now NWSL, and what sort of challenges does that propose as you build the playing philosophy for this team in year one?
Yeah, I think what I noticed in the difference between WSL and MLS when I moved across in 2020 was, the WSL is, there's almost a gap starting to be created between the top teams and the bottom teams. And although the games are competitive, what that lends itself to the difference in styles. What you tend to see is teams like Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Arsenal dominate the ball, have a lot of possession, and most of the time they're playing up against opposition that will sit low, um, try and defend the game, and almost try and either play on the counter attack or just minimize the amount of goal chances that those teams have. What I've seen when I went to MLS, and definitely what I expect to see when we compete in NWSL, what I see this year and last year when I followed, is every team attacks everybody because of the parity in ability. Every team has sort of, in theory, the same level of players, right? You have to have some high salary players, you have to have some minimum salary, and you have some in the middle. So the games are far more attacking, and the games are, every team attacks everybody, which lends itself to the more of a physical element. There's more transition in the game. There's more speed in the game. So you have to blend that in the way that you recruit, and you have to develop a training program that can prepare the players to win in that style. One thing I learned in 2024 in MLS was, you can develop your team to have a lot of the ball and dominate possession, but that doesn't necessarily lend itself to winning, because if you're just going to try and create goal chances in 6 to 8 passes, you're probably not going to have enough offensive volume to be a team that wins consistently to be in playoffs. You have to be able to score in 4 or less passes, in attacking transition, in pressing moments where you can go straight to goal. Counter pressing has a huge element in NWSL and MLS. So, you have to have those elements within your team, either players that can produce those moments, or you have to coach them within your training program to improve the team. And my belief is you have to blend a little bit of both.
Yeah, you touched on it there with the competitiveness of the league. I think we have 4 match days left, and nobody is eliminated yet from the playoffs in the NWSL this season. So Kansas City ran away with the regular season title, but everything else is still up for grabs. So I think it's a good way to keep fans engaged as the season goes on, and every game has a big feel to it. You've previously, I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, you've previously been part of, these big multi-club ownerships, women's teams who have a men's team under the same umbrella. What's your experience so far being part of a, single entity women's focused club? It's something Casey Stoney talked about a lot from for her time in San Diego, being able to be the priority, not ever having to worry about, facilities and conflicts and staffing and other things. What has your experience been like with that so far?
Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely something that I was looking for because to me, my experience within CFG was 100% positive, but it is part of a multi-club ownership. To come into you know, a team that we are Denver Summit, right? I work with, originally it was a fairly small staff as we're starting to build it out, working directly with Kurt, directly with Jen, and having an opportunity to see Mr. Cohen consistently is, not it's not normal when you work in a multi-club ownership. So, being really close to the plans of the performance center and the stadium, and for me, it was what I wanted because I want to work within an environment and a culture where I can get really close to the fans and the supporters, and we can create something really special. And you know, one of the most difficult parts of MLS was going to those places like Columbus Crew and Cincinnati and those type of places where once you go and play in those stadiums, everybody is together. The atmosphere is incredible, and it never really feels like you're going to win there, even if you're winning. And that's what I believe that our stadium will be like in Denver. I think, the aim for me is, I take the responsibility really seriously that we have to create an atmosphere and a bond between the players and the staff and the fans and the organization that is almost impossible to come and play at our stadium. And we then breed that confidence to take it on the road and go and win and get enough wins to be a winning team. And I'm really, really excited for that.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, you touched on that a bit in that answer, and earlier we've announced 15,000 in season ticket deposits. We've even announced a club for people to be on the wait list for season tickets. So sellouts and great support for this team is going to be a given. What are you expecting from Colorado fans and the match day vibes um, from day one to the last match day of season one? How are you expecting that bond that you talked about to grow, and how will you individually help forge that?
Yeah, well, I think firstly, we shouldn't underestimate how special that is. That is not something that is normal to me to have 15,000 supporters that have a real energy and enthusiasm to come and watch our team before we've even named the roster, and is a huge positive and something that is really, really special. It excites me now already to what it does is it drives me even more than the drive I have inside myself to recruit a special team, build staff, create the atmosphere within the training center, because I expect the first game to have, the crowd will have real energy. There will be a real optimism and a real inspiration within our fan base for what is to come for our team. And I take the responsibility of providing a team that plays a real attacking, entertaining style of the game, but also has a mentality that is going to win. The aim for me is always to an expansion. I appreciate expansion comes with challenge, but it doesn't dampen my ambition for wanting to win in NWSL. And to me, it's a trade-off, and we start almost with this responsibility of putting the team out there that can start to really build the energy and the bond between our fans, so that there is a real excitement within the game, and at the end of the game there's a real excitement to want to come back and watch again. And that's something that I haven't experienced. I love my time in New York, I love my time in Manchester, but I do believe that we have the opportunity in Denver to be really unique and create something that is just so electric. And I can't wait to feel the energy, and then I think we have to embrace it and we have to really drive it as a team.
So can you commit right now to starting to learn the lyrics to Miley Cyrus's "The Climb." So at the end of the game, when we win every match, you're arm in arm with the supporters, just belting out Miley Cyrus.
I've been saying it all around the offices. You know, I can't wait for what our anthem is, what our walkout is. I can't wait for the end of the game when we win, what that looks like between our team and our fans. You know, are we going to have tifo? And if it means I get involved, it means it drives the energy. But I'll commit to that, no problem.
I've seen
John,
some draft chants floating around already. So not a lot of signings yet, but we've got some people working on some songs and chants. So we're getting ahead of things 6 months or so out. So that's awesome. Talking about fan engagement and a bit of fun, a little bit pivot here. As Interim at City, you participated in a 7-a-side tournament in Portugal. They've announced another one coming up in Florida. What's your perspective on how some of these maybe less traditional competitions fit into the competitive landscape on the women's side? What else would you like to see there?
Um, I think there was a little bit of apprehension to the 7-a-side tournament that we went to in Portugal. Not from myself, but from fans, and you know, it's a different form of the game. But I'm the type of person that I'd like to have optimism, and I like to, you know, go and see. It was incredibly enjoyable. The tournament organisers, it was really buttoned up. It was really professional. The game is really quick, so it's really good to watch. It's really attacking. It lends itself to attacking players because there's a lot of dribbling involved. You know, we had the likes of Carolyn and Alba Fagino in our Manchester City team, and they really thrived in the tournament. Um, I think the one thing I think was really positive within the tournament was it was another opportunity to really show the real talent that we have within the women's game and the skill. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I was disappointed we didn't go on to win it, but um, any opportunity for me to play a different form of the game, I think, is positive. I don't think it will ever take over the 11-a-side game. I think nobody expects it to. But it was really exciting. It was, you know, a really attacking game, like I say. So an opportunity to take part again, I would take. Yeah, I would definitely do it.
Yeah, there were some fun celebrations, intros. I was over there for that as well. So and yeah, sunshine, beach towns can't beat that.
Uh, that brings up something I wanted to ask about. The NWSL in particular is a league that incredibly values and displays the individual personalities and expressions of its players and its teams. How do you view Denver Summit and knowing the players that you'll have so far as kind of a blank canvas for these players to really kind of show out as themselves?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think, you know, we have the opportunity to build our identity. We have the opportunity to build um, from scratch, right? And the players will be involved in that, if not given the responsibility and ownership to build that. That is my style as a head coach, right? You know, we will have a leadership team within our group that is, you know, made up of, say, let's say 4 or 5. We haven't actually built it completely, but and those players will almost take back to the locker room. And you know, it's really important for me that the players own and start to build our team, and you know, involve the staff and involve our fans. And I'm really intrigued at where we can take, you know, what the identity of my job, I think, is to support that and to, of course, give my opinion and give my I'm a part of it. But yeah, I'm really excited to build that from scratch, and I fully support that we should be Denver, right? We should embrace the fact that we are Denver Summit FC, and yeah, I'm excited to see who we are and how we, you know, how we evolve over time.
Kind of speaking of that, you as a coach and the team as the kind of single entity expansion side that we've talked about has an amazing opportunity, both as the first iteration of NWSL in Colorado, but also the first representation a lot of these young women and girls are going to see of their career aspirations. How is the club going to maintain that kind of close knit community bond and activation throughout the community on non-match days?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that's already started. I'm um going out into the community next week, and next week and the following week. And it's important to me to, have a presence within the community. It's important for us as a club to have a presence within the community and continue to not only build our fan base, but, continue to, inspire the next generation, continue to give more opportunity to the next generation. And we have to play a part in that, Of course, my desire is to win and to have a team that has a presence within the sort of professional, like we're going to be a winning team in NWSL. But, the reality is we have to, inspire and enthuse the people of Denver and, to have the next generation within our fan base and see them in the stadium and then go out into the community and offer opportunities, for fan engagement and that is part of building a really successful club to me. And, what I can see further down the line is an academy and, a second team and then a community sort of department that consistently goes out. That to me is all part of building a club that lasts forever, right? I have the incredible responsibility and opportunity to be part of the first iteration of Denver Summit, but the reality is we're going to be a team for a very, very long time, and we're going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And that is on a match day at first team professional level, but that is also out into the community.
Got to go find the next Mals and Sophs and Lindsays of the Colorado soccer world for sure.
The good news is they're all right here. They're another fun one maybe. So NYCFC, you had your time with them. They have one of my favorite mascots, if you will, in the pigeons. Did you see when they floated the gigantic pigeon down the Hudson River?
Yeah. They've used it a little bit. They've floated down the Hudson. They had it outside of Citi Field. So it's been something that the fans have really embraced. And yeah, I think it's for New York is, they have a behind the goal at Yankee Stadium on the stanchion. They have a pigeon on the top of the stanchion there. So for them, it's part of their identity.
All right. So this was a two-parter. What's our version in Denver going to be? What's our pigeon going to be?
But it's the same again, right? I don't think that's not for me to invent. I think it's for the fans. And I think, going through the process from the start, I purposely didn't ask anybody in the organization. I said, I don't want to know what the team name is. I don't want to know what the brand is. I want to see it on brand day because I just wanted it to, and I didn't know. I seen it when the fans seen it and I thought it was incredible. I think it's amazing. So for me, as we continue to build, like we're talking about, right, the anthems and what the stadium experience is going to be, I think fans should definitely own that, or, definitely have a real say in what the identity of the club is. So, what our mascot will be and how we're going to build that is, I think it's really interesting and intriguing, but it's going to be a huge part of our identity.
Drawing back
what have you got, Matt? I got him. I'm saying a marmot. No.
A marmot?
Yeah.
I was going with larks or magpies. I thought could be really fun.
All right, we'll start polling folks.
Yeah. And then Nick, we called Kurt Johnson out to come play pickup with us, and he did, and he held down the right back position extremely well. So when are you coming out to play with us and Kurt, and what position on the field will you be holding down?
Well, you tell me when you play and I'll be there. That's no problem for me. I like a game of soccer. Where would I play? I haven't played in a while, actually. So
I heard you were the kind of coach that likes to get stuck into the training sessions. No, I feel like Jen Beatty and Steph Houghton talked about that on a pod one time. That you were not in a while. So maybe back in 2015, 2016. But okay.
Probably in the midfield, I think, because I could just sort of sit there and try and be a bit of a coach in the middle of the game. Anything that involves me running and a bit of intensity, I think I'm going to struggle at.
All right, stuck in 6, and that way we'll get to see you and Kurt work off of each other. Hallie, you never said where you're going to play.
I'm also midfield, so I'll play in front of Nick. He can serve me the balls up. But yeah, I'm not making a whole lot of sprints either. So we can get the younger kids to do the running.
I think we've almost got our 7-a-side ready for the tournament.
All right, let's go.
Hallie, do you have more?
I think I'm good, Nick. We encourage folks to come out on Saturday to the club's kickoff event. Nick will be doing a couple Q&A sessions. You guys can ask whatever you think we missed in our time together here. But Nick, thank you so much for your time and this intro and conversation. We really appreciate it. And we know the community is excited to get to know you, excited to see how this team evolves. And we're looking for a lot of, on-field, off-field success as well. We can't wait for kickoff in the spring.
No, I really appreciate it, guys. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the game pickup.
Excellent.
All right. It was a great chat with Nick. We look forward to seeing him around the community, maybe him hitting the pickup fields as well over the next few months while he has some time. So we look forward to hearing your feedback on that interview as well. And be sure to check us out on socials at Summit Up Show on Instagram, at Summit Up on Blue Sky. You can find me at H Gordo on Instagram and House517 on Blue Sky. Matt, where can we find you?
You can find me at Matthew Wick on Blue Sky. Also trying to make this like deep lore of a 7v7 team where like Allie Watt drops in with Nick Cushing and Kurt Johnson happen. And then you and I just get to, bandwagon and be part of that. Or the Stars. Whatever. No big deal.
As long as I'm going with them and not against them, or I think the scoreline could get a little out of control if I have to mark Allie Watt.
That'd be such a conflict of interest because you want to impress the coach and the GM, so you kind of want to get stuck in against them, but you don't want to injure them or lose access.
Yeah. My team only. That'll be my role.
We'll stack the teams. All right, so our intro-outro music is Climb On Late Night Radio Remix by Denver's own Maddie O'Neill. Go to maddieo'neill.com for info and tour dates. How about we end like we always do with a Sum It Up?